What have you been up to?
I've been riding on a daydream.
Hello, future selves. We're shooting this video to be played in a much later video, and that much later video is going to cover in more detail, or this detail that we're going to give of what happened, why we're doing what we're doing. So by now, our future selves have already kind of prepped you for what we're getting ready to say and talk about some of the stuff that's going through our head right now. This reminds Heidi and I a lot of when we shot that video that we knew when we were going to quit full-time RVing, and we wanted to capture our emotions and what we were thinking at that point, but we weren't wanting to release that information as of yet because there was a lot of things that were in play that we didn't know how they were going to pan out or if they were going to pan out. So what we're getting ready to tell you happened just a few days ago for us, but again, now that you're watching this, this has gone on quite a long time ago, I'm sure, maybe even a month from now, possibly 2 months from now. Hopefully not. Heidi and I were sitting in the chairs just like this, and we were discussing, as far as, okay, do we want to stay in this house and continue to save up money? How much does it cost for us to stay in this home? All our subscriptions, we do have a couple credit card bills that we accumulated fixing the house up, and how much we spend on the lease of the car that's going to be gone, how much we're, groceries, just how much it costs to run this household. Well, Heidi was saying that she really didn't feel like leaving her job. She doesn't necessarily care for her job all the time. There's days that she hates it, but she was saying that because I just flat out have asked her, what would it take for you to just part-time somewhere else or at your store or whatever? And she says, I don't think I want to do that. I don't want to do that, which is still the truth, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It is.
Because I think a lot of people think because I'm saying it and you're not saying it, that I'm talking for you or something.
Well, hello, in real world, you have to work.
Yeah.
If you want money, it's not going to be given to you. And in the fantasy world, I want to sit here all day. Well, not in a chair.
Yeah, I doubt that. Because the days that she's off, she can't sit here all day.
Well, so. No, I can't. Yeah, he's right. I don't hardly ever sit.
Yeah, which is just fine.
If I'm sitting, I'm sleeping.
Yeah, she'll fall asleep in a second. If I get her to sit down and relax for 5 minutes, she's sleeping. So we, with that, conversation happening, we were kind of, I'm going to say heatedly discussing it back and forth. Heidi's like, no, I think we should, I don't want to go full-time in RV, which is fine. I can do that if we felt like, if she felt like she wanted to do that again. I wanted to winter down south. And again, Heidi says, well, my job won't allow that. You'll be doing it by yourself, which I don't want to do that. So we're still entertaining and talking, discussing it out. Figuring it all out, what it would take to run the household at a bare minimum with no mortgage and just the bills that we have in general, and the utilities and all that stuff. And we also then started talking about, well, should we move? If we're going to stay here, we know that eventually we're going to be moving from here. And if she's not going to be leaving her work, she should be working towards something. And we're talking about Heidi's decision on this. My job won't change. What I do is what I do, and I continue to generate the same money that I've been generating. And it may morph into something different, like a lot of these reviews that have been going on. Trust me, it's not something that I necessarily dreamed about doing, but it is like anything else. Heidi didn't dream about going back selling auto parts, but nonetheless, it's working for her just like this is working for me.
Yeah, I'm sure that we had planned to have an RV and a truck by now, but we don't.
Right.
And that's obviously sometimes on the back burner more than we'd like it to be.
Yeah.
But obviously we have other things that come into play.
This is the conversation we were having. I was sitting here drinking my tea. She's sitting there looking on her phone. And again, we were talking about, should we move? I mean, ultimately, we realized that we're not getting in an RV right away. We're not wintering in an RV right away. We're not going to be purchasing any big, huge RV with a nice vehicle right away. If that's the case, what are we doing as far as the home here? And we were thinking, and Heidi was thinking more than me. She's basically saying, let's just stay here. We have no mortgage, and I'm all for that because we sometimes we're cheapskates. And
there's nothing wrong with that.
We're frugal. Yeah, we're very frugal. And when she's saying that, I'm thinking, yeah, but if we're going to be here, I have a hard time with the fact that we just, again, you guys know this now, but you don't know it at the time that we're recording this, that we went out and did a rent-to-own shed. We've made the initial deposit on it, and we've got the next month's payment coming up on it. And again, it's so we didn't have to rent storage for all the stuff that we have. And I thought, well, we'll keep it for about a year, get it through winter, and then maybe next spring we'll let it, we'll just call them up and tell them to come get it. In the meantime, we were going to call some people when we had the money. We were a little bit short on cash because of a couple things that came up, the car, to fix the fence. And we thought, well, eventually we'll call the company to come out here and fix the fence. And we'll have them do it the right way, redo the angle that it's at and all that stuff and put in all new poles. And at the same time, they'll fix the fence out here and they'll redo the fence to make it wider, and we'll move it up. And all that was going to cost about $5,000, somewhere in that neighborhood. So all this is going through our heads, and she's saying, well, maybe we should, just stay here. And I'm thinking, I don't think we should stay here necessarily, because I don't like the fact that at 3 a.m. we get characters walking up and down the street. It's just weird. And we've got, and I don't know who they are, and we're not on a main thoroughway for pedestrians. It's not like that there's a grocery store at the end of the street and everybody's going to the grocery store from the neighborhood. Okay, so I'm editing these clips, seeing Heidi and I talking about this a while ago, about a month ago, I think. But I wanted to preface what I'm getting ready to show you here. I'm going to voice over this stuff and try to just give you an idea of what I hate about what's happening. And this is what her and I were discussing. And this is just the tiniest portion of what we've experienced over the last year. So whenever I show you these clips, some of them may seem innocent enough, and it may be that it's innocent enough, what we are seeing, but a normal person just don't think that this stuff is routine. Something don't add up with the way the people are acting that are walking up and down the street. All right, so this guy here, you should have heard what he was saying on the phone. Something about the house. You can see he was looking over at it. I thought that was very odd. Of course, he's got some kind of a big dog. I don't know who he's talking to on the phone. I don't know what they're discussing, but the fact that he's looking over at our house, that was strange. And then here, it appears to be the same guy, but a different dog. You could check the dates on a lot of this stuff. You could see how far apart they are. This guy here, I don't know what the deal was, but even though the sun's shining, it is not warm out that day. So here's one of the reasons that we don't get our privacy. Vendors. Now, I don't know if you knew it, but you can do like the do not call list. Well, there's one called a do not knock list. You can sign up for it. And organizations are supposed to check into that. Here we go. 11 o'clock at night. And I don't know what this guy is carrying. It looks like a metal bar of some kind. And again, I don't know what he's doing out. Yeah, I guess I can say at least their presence is known. I don't know why 4 of them are flying down the street. Looks like they're trying to find somebody to me at 4:30 in the morning. And look, same day, shortly after that. Yeah. Comes a guy on a mini bike. But it's 4:30 in the morning. Those cops just went flying by. I think this guy might be somebody they're looking for. Looks like he goes and ditches the bike here. And of course, this woke me up as soon as I heard this thing at 4 in the morning. But I think he ditched the bike and then I don't know. You can see he's walking back somewhere. No clue. Like I said, this is just the craziest stuff. Or I'm sorry, this is where he walked to get the mini bike. That's right. What's in the backpack?
Hi, you are currently being recorded.
They're being recorded, all right. But yeah, what's in the backpack? Zombies. We talk about this all the time. This one's 11 o'clock at night. I think this is the guy that used to live here. I'm almost positive. The problem is I've been told multiple times that he's a thief. Now, this guy was a lot of interest in the house. I mean, to the point where I don't know what he was doing. He just staring over at the house. Why? What's up with our house? What's so big about our house? Same guy again. Like I said, he used to live here. He's the one that kind of took liberty with all the pipes and air conditioning, everything that's in here. This guy, I've never seen him but one day, which is fine. Like I said, could be innocent enough. This guy decides to throw his bottle over in the neighbor's yard. How nice of him. How nice. Elderly lady. And then again, here's the guy who used to live here again. He was in jail for a while and he got out. This is strange. Check out on the street behind us. This girl goes flying by on this bicycle. I didn't think anything about it, but I don't know who she took that bike from, but the bike stayed there for a few days until the police came and we told them about the whole situation. She wipes out, runs into our fence, gets up like nothing's going on. She's got to be lit on something. A lot of movement going on there. And what's she doing in my backyard? She's like, oh, I can't get out. All right, let me go try to find this. Oh, she's running from somebody. You can see. Anyway, she disappeared. It's just odd. Like I said, that bike sat there for a few days. The cop said, just put it on the sidewalk. Somebody will come get it eventually, which they did, but it wasn't people. These people made an appearance for the first time this year, and they were just talking and pointing to all the houses, and I don't know what they were discussing about the houses, but they seemed awful interested in ours, and I'll let you hear this. You can see he kind of cut her off. She didn't expect for him to be coming up here. And he just starts talking about the house.
How you get that? Okay, this is big. You know, there's a monster. I don't know. It's a whole different. Please do not knock. Yeah. And they got a door.
I don't know him. What's he trying to do? He ain't selling anything.
They got the light. No mail.
He's reading. I got a sign on our mailbox. Talks about how I don't want any mail for past residents.
No mail. Okay. No mail for Johnson. Michelle.
I thought maybe they're trying to squat or something. I don't know. I mean, our house looks, I guess, not lived in, possibly. And they were here for a few days. I'm not sure what their intentions were or where they were staying. I mean, it's not, like I said, normal people would move into a neighborhood and then you would see them in the neighborhood from that point forward. That's not the case here. We've seen them here. And she trailing behind him. And again, he started talking about the house again. I have no idea what his fascination is with the place. She got a pretty big bag there. And then he's showing up in the rain a few days later. And now he's got a big backpack on. Again, I'm not sure why somebody has a backpack and they're walking around, but could be innocent enough. It's 1:35 in the morning here. It just makes you wonder. I don't know. This guy here was showed up one day. He's talking to himself here. And then I didn't see him again. I don't know. Hard telling. This guy here. What is up with this? Where'd he get that scooter? And why does he have a hand cart there also? Where'd he get those things? I don't think he lives on this street, but there he goes nonetheless. This guy ended up a few days later getting pulled behind a pickup truck. So this is another reason I hate this. This guy here is paid by the neighbor to mow the lawn. Every single time he mows, he lets the grass get real high. Then he goes out there and bales hay. And his first pass is always the same. He throws it all into my yard. The high grass he throws into my yard. And the bad part about it is he throws it up against the fence also. So moisture is held along the fence, along our mutual property line. But he does it every single time. Well, it got to the point that he only mows once in a blue moon. So after he gets done mowing, I go back and blow it over. This guy here, I don't know what was going on, but he wasn't happy with whoever's on the phone. Okay, so solicitors. What a big surprise. We get lots of solicitors. Here again, her company didn't follow the do not knock, program. She sees the sign. She's like, oh, I didn't see it. Yeah, well, maybe you should be trained to look first before you knock. Is she the only one? No. Here's another canvasser, whatever they're doing. I have no idea. And is she the only one? No. Yep, another guy. And they're all working the street. And this happens all the time. We've had at least 15 vendors. Okay, you guys know this story. I am tired of the raccoons. I'll just tell you straight out. I've shot over 14 of them. This is all one day. What kind of deliveries are they making? I mean, can't be Uber Eats. There ain't that many people ordering. I said, same car. It lives up the street at a house that Heidi kids around and says they have a Tupperware party up there. I don't know what's happening. Why are they there? What are they doing? Why do they commute so much in one day? It's odd. I mean, to say the least. So this happens a lot. This is just one day that we chose. This happens usually once every 2 weeks. And this goes out all through the night too. It just happens all the time. I'm not sure where they're going to, what they're doing, none of that. But nonetheless, this is the kind of stuff that we've been seeing. And I told her, I think we need to move. And then, of course, our favorite ex-tenant here. And I know he steals a lot. He just got busted for stealing from Kohl's. So it's time for us to do something else.
They're probably up to no good.
They've got to be up to no good. And I'll tell you why. We know this for sure.
We know for a fact.
Yeah. So, again, we have cameras all over this place for security. And at some point, I've started feeling silly that we have so much security stuff on the house. Because when we moved in, I've talked about this before, we talked to the neighbor over here, and he says, you got to watch, there's people who will steal anything, and he's going on and on. And then we talked to all the other neighbors, and they're like, we don't have any problems here.
They don't have any problems.
They don't have any problems here, and it's because of the way they live. First of all, there's nothing that
there's never anything
gives anybody an impression that they have nice stuff, or that they are at home, that they're not at home. You just can't tell. You can't tell what's going on at their homes. Except for the lady across the street, occasionally she opens her front door. She leaves her front door open and she lets the sunlight come in. So I'm talking about that. Heidi's saying, I don't think we should move just because there's people walking around, we're okay, whatever. As we're in the middle of this discussion that we have been talking about for about 45 minutes straight, I mean, it's all of a sudden, our discussion gets interrupted abruptly. And I couldn't believe it. So this is what happened. What do you think? I mean, obviously, there's a lot that happened there, and we got a chance, since we had so many cameras, to review it. And there was one disturbing fact about all that. Now, the first thing I thought was, okay, whenever I was a kid and I was a teenager, man, I did a lot of dumb stuff. I used to, ding dong ditch is what they called it. At night, we'd go ring a doorbell and then go hide in the bushes, wait till somebody's, make prank phone calls. Obviously, we did that. TP homes, did that. We egged homes, we did that. We put M80s in mailboxes, we did that. We
did corning.
What is corning?
You take the fall corn, it's dried. You take it and you put it in a bucket and you run down the road and you throw it at their window. It don't hurt anything.
Oh, the
so
kernels?
it scares you. Yeah.
Oh, the hard
Yeah.
kernels. Oh, I thought you meant a corn cob.
Because we didn't egg.
Yeah, we egged. Yeah, people that we didn't like. I mean, we
Yeah,
egged.
we went corning. In fact, my brother took me. He was obviously. I said, I want to go corning. I never been corning.
So, I mean, we did stuff like that. And some of the pranks were probably not the smartest. And this, what you just saw, was multiplied by the fact that when he got off his four-wheeler and he shut it off and then restarted it to make sure his getaway was going. But he come running up on as soon as he started running up onto the porch, he grabbed his right pocket. And if you have a phone in your pocket, and you don't want it to flop around or fall out or your pants to fall down, all you would do is put your hand flat against your phone. I mean, that's the way that I would run with a phone in my pocket. I wouldn't wrap my hand around the phone.
Well, even if you did, you'd be able to tell it was a phone.
Right. Immediately grabbed his right pocket to keep his in his pocket. And then when he came up and hit the door 2 times, first what happened was he opened the screen door, which I thought it was probably our daughter maybe surprising us with our grandson, because they have the code to get in the front door. And sometimes they don't announce when they're coming over. So it all happened real fast. The glass door, the screen door, whatever you want to call it, storm door, it opened. The door handle rattled. And then those 2 loud kicks. Well, when he turned to do those 2 loud kicks, our doorbell camera, which is right there, got a good close-up of. I mean, there is no doubt that's what it was.
Let's just say that day he was lucky.
Yeah, because at this point, it don't make a difference. I mean, that I'm telling you this.
He's lucky.
I have a that is within reach. I mean, quickly. When it happened, I yelled, "Who's there?" And at that point, it jumped off. They're off the porch and they're getting on their four-wheeler. If they would have stayed there and kicked the door 2 more times, rounds would have just went through the door. I did not feel threatened myself at all.
I did.
Heidi did. It really stirred her up.
This is our property.
This is our home. And we're literally sitting 10 feet away from these people.
This is our home, our property.
Right. And the thing that I had a problem with, like I said, I didn't feel threatened. What I was concerned with more than anything else, that I was put into a position, and it was almost to the point, within just fractions of a second, of having to somebody and then deal with that whole process. Police
their crying
reports,
mama.
their mom saying, "Oh, he just a baby. He just kidding around. He just playing. Yeah, he had a. I don't care. He had a gun. He just playing. That whole thing. I mean, all I could picture is now I've got to watch my back for retaliation, because somehow was unfair and unjust to them.
Yeah.
When in reality, if that kid had been coming in here, if he would, and here's the really ironic part about it. The lady across the street, when she had her front door open, I thought, you know what? It was a nice day. I'm going to open the windows. We're going to shut off the AC unit, and I'm going to leave the front door open for a little bit of light, change the atmosphere in here, and get a nice breeze coming through the home. And Heidi said, "It's a little warm. It's still a little warm." And I thought, yeah, she's right. I'm not going to do that. So I left the door closed. If that door would have been open,
he probably wouldn't have stopped. But we don't know that.
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't know that.
So now let's tell you what happened then. The next day we contacted the realtor and said, "Okay, tell us what we need to do to sell the home."
Yep.
That's what you are now dealing with on our future selves. But we wanted to talk about it at the time that we made the decision, which is now. So what's wrong with the area? The problem is when you have a lot of people that are doing things that they shouldn't do. And you have a lot of people that are out of work and don't have any money. You've got just a target on your back for everything, because no matter how little you think you have, which I don't think we have a lot, it's way more than they have. And they see it as a guaranteed lottery ticket. I'm just saying that there's so much that he could have grabbed right away, though, that would have paid him. He could have went and paid himself. So that's not. I'm not wanting to be in that situation. I've never been in that situation. We have always locked our car doors and made sure everything's locked up at our house, even at our old place.
No,
But for 20 years, we never had a person try to open our door, try to get into a car, any of that. So even though it's this day and age and everything, and people say things have changed, I'm telling you that there's plenty of neighborhoods that people don't have to go through this. There's plenty of areas that people don't have to go through this. That's not the case here. And I'm not living that way. And I told Heidi, I said, and she'll agree, we even told the cop, because we filled out a police report. We're not necessarily real spiritual people. We have our beliefs. We don't, we probably shouldn't we don't go to church as much as we should, that kind of thing. However, we were literally in the discussion of, should we move? And I was telling her I didn't like the area because of some of the stuff that was going on. It just felt weird. And then during that conversation, that happened. I mean,
so I have to say that our neighbor was correct.
Yeah, our neighbor was correct.
Even though Mike has said that, because we didn't see it. You don't believe it till you see it.
Yeah.
Or till it happens to you.
Again.
It can happen anywhere, but.
It's a Thursday.
But,
And it's a Thursday and it's 5 p.m.
We probably don't belong in this neighborhood.
If you have the power to move out of a situation that is not healthy or ideal, you do it. So, unfortunately, at that point, we decided, okay, it's going to cost us some money. We're going to move and we're going to buy a home. And it's probably going to be something that we're going to keep for a while. I don't know how long, depending on how we feel in 10 years. I'm thinking that we'll be there 10 years. Look how fast we're coming up on 2 years here. Just next
April.
Next April. So it's nothing for this time to fly when you stay busy. So we're at this point in time talking to you guys, telling you how we feel and why we feel about what's going on with our future selves. So any closing thoughts about how you feel now about this?
No, I pretty much said it.
Yeah. I think that you guys will get more information from our future selves, but right now, this is what we decided, and we're hoping, fingers crossed, that we find something decent. As we're filming right now, the Fed are getting ready to drop the interest rates again, I think by 0.75%. That's going to help.
And that was another reason why we weren't really looking.
Yeah, because of interest rates being high. But now, that's what we're doing. I was just doing an update about Heidi and at work, and I was talking about how hot the shed was outside, and if I was going to need to do anything about ventilation and that. And here I said something about it could be the although we have a lot of room out here still for stuff, the point may be mute because we're moving, and that shed will probably go bye-bye unless we find a reason to need it. The new place. I don't have my hat on. So I thought that I would chime in here and talk to you guys about. Sorry, I'm filming this on my phone. About the whole process so far. Man, I'm going to tell you that it reminds me when we were shopping for trucks and how much junk was out there and what they were asking for it. The homes are the same way. We went and looked at a home that we've been looking at since May. Now remember, Heidi and I have been discussing moving since the day we got here, because we knew that this wasn't going to be our forever home. You guys have been watching our videos all that time. We said that. We knew it wasn't going to be our forever home. However, the longer we were here, the more that we got used to it, and then we were making improvements that it needed to be done, which we're happy we did that, because that's all going to help for the resale value of the home. And we parlayed that now to where we could get a home that's a little bit more expensive. Plus, we're going to find that in an area that we want to live. There was a home that came up about 5 months ago, about 5 months ago, and Heidi and I's like, oh man, this would be great, wouldn't it? This would be a nice house. And I'm thinking, it's a little expensive, and it's not ideal, and it needs updating inside. You know, it'd be okay though. It's in a wonderful neighborhood, incredible neighborhood. But I don't know. Well, at some point now that we're looking for a home to get our butts out of here, we're willing to bump up our price range and actually, obtain a mortgage, which again, our mortgage here is zero. We don't owe a dime. So all that would go towards the new home. And we were thinking, well, maybe we'll go ahead and potentially look at this one that we probably wouldn't normally look at. I can't believe what kind of junk it was. Again, basic functions as a home. As soon as you walk in, it smells. The whole house smells. And it's because it's old. It's an older home. Everything is outdated. But more importantly, in the basement, there are signs, clear signs, that there is water issues behind the paneling that's covering up the walls in the basement. And the paneling has been there for ages. I mean, it's been there a long time. There's also indication that there was somebody in there looking for a leak potentially below the concrete floor in the basement, because you could see a new area that was all new concrete that had been filled and smoothed over. And that's not cool. That's not cool at all. Not for what they were asking for this house. Now here's the best part. It needed a new roof. I mean, the whole roof needed replaced. It was wavy. It was lifted. It had moss on it that thick. It was not good at all. And that wasn't the only one we saw like that. We walked into homes that we were so excited to see. We found another one that was perfect. It was the perfect price. It was the perfect area. It had the perfect amount of land. It had the perfect spacing between neighbors. It was in a perfect neighborhood. It was in a perfect school district. That comes to play a little bit for us. We go in and the foundation is cracked in the basement on 3 walls. And it has shifted. And I'm thinking, what they're asking for this home should not make it to where I have to put $10, $20, $30, $40,000 in a foundation fix. And it wasn't that the wall was bowing like we saw when we were looking for houses before. It was cracked up really high, like the house had been pushed. And again, for the price that they were asking, I thought, this is ridiculous. So we're running into a lot of that. Our realtor brought up a really good point, and he's a smart guy. He's younger than us. He's probably about the age of our kids. And some of the stuff that he says is pretty prophetic. Not pathetic, prophetic. Like a prophet. He told us that any house that's been on the market between 20 to 30 days or more, and they've had showings, there's a reason it's still on market. Now, the other thing that Heidi and I's come across, and I hope this don't offend anybody if you're an elderly person and you're watching this, but what we find is that older people have a tendency just to live in their house and fix only the things that were absolutely necessary. Now, that could be because that's all they could afford, or maybe it's a different way of thinking, because honestly, when I get older, I could see the same thing. You know, if I was 80 years old And my house, I had a problem in the basement that when it rained real hard, water would come in the one corner. And then I'd have to turn on the dehumidifier and put a fan on it for a week, and then it would go away. And it's something that just started. I would think, I'm not repairing that. You know, why do I care? I'm not going to be on the earth much longer, and the house will be gone. It'll be somebody else's thing. Well, that's what we're finding with a lot of these homes that have older people that have lived in it, resided in them, that they just lived in it and let it go. That's all they did. They just let them go. So I don't know if that's a thing that you can find out easily when you're looking for homes. Okay, we went and looked at another home. This one was a log cabin, and it was on a piece of property out quite a ways. It was a tranquil setting, even though the state route that it was on was really busy. It was a very small log cabin. Although it was 2 stories, it had a full basement, and the basement looked really nice in the pictures. The whole thing looked great. When we got there, they had multiple showings going on at the same time, which our realtor says he hates, and I see why. We went out there, and as soon as I walked around the place, because there are people inside looking, I'm checking the logs, and it looks like that it's a fascia style log build, that they're not necessarily supportive logs. But even with that, they had sealed off in between the logs. And I remember being a kid learning this in school, and I don't know if it's the correct term or not, but back in the day, the pioneers used to build log cabins, and they would put chink, I think they called it chink, in between the logs to seal them off. Well, these guys were putting all different colors of silicone or urethane or something in the cracks, and they weren't doing a very good job at all. So then when we got inside the log cabin, the rooms were small. We expected that. Everything was very nice inside until we went to the basement. And as soon as we got in the basement, it felt tight. It felt like it was sealed off too much, and it was kind of humid. And they had a fan down there running. I mean, really running. And they had a dehumidifier at one point down there. And yet you could still feel the humidity in the air down there. Now, this place didn't have an air conditioning of any kind, except for, I think, a window air conditioner upstairs maybe. But it felt damp. And Heidi says, all right, I'm out of here. And she walked upstairs. And I told the realtor I wanted to take a look a little bit longer. He goes, yeah. And I went around the corner and I looked at a couple things. And I'm like, man, this is not good. There is definitely water coming in this basement of this place. And they barely got it under control. And he says, yeah. And I said, with that, coupled with the fact that they just put in a brand new septic system and all of a sudden the place is for sale. Maybe they did that because they knew the old one was failing and they wanted to make sure it sold. And passed inspection, but we didn't even go upstairs and see the bedrooms upstairs or the loft or anything. There was no need. At that point, that was, and again, the money they were asking for it was fair if the house was perfect, if there was nothing wrong with it. So that was kind of crazy that we were running into that, and that's the common theme here. So Heidi and I have gone a couple different directions with what we want to do. We've been looking at smaller, not perfect, but cheap homes in nice areas. And then we've been looking at big, really nice homes out quite a ways to bring the price down. And then we've been looking at homes that are in decent areas, but not ideal for us as far as necessarily, neighborhoods or something, being that we're real close to the neighbors and there's not a lot of yard and there's not a lot of privacy. But I thought we'd share that with you guys and let you know that we are looking, and hopefully we're able to find something. And again, at this point in time you're watching it, it's no longer a secret. Let's see what we find. Part of the thing that I wanted you guys to see that was why we decided to move. We already broke the bombshell of what happened and why that was an issue. And I don't want to say it's awesome, but I like the fact that, things get done and things, good things do happen. We got this thing that was sent to us in the mail, or sent to me in the mail. It said Family Court Juvenile Justice System. Well, I don't know what this is. We don't have any kids that are juveniles. our grandson couldn't be possibly in any trouble. He's way too little. He's only 5. But basically it was a letter here, and this is the victim's rights and information for Ohio. And this is from the prosecuting attorney's office in Warren. And basically they wanted to say that they obtained a copy of the police report that we filled out with the police, or told the police. And it says, please be advised that a juvenile has been charged with criminal mischief, a misdemeanor of the 3rd degree, and criminal trespassing, a misdemeanor of the 4th degree. And he's scheduled to have a plea hearing before the judge, and then it gives the dates. And then as a victim, I guess technically we're victims. But basically they gave me quite a bit of information about what my rights were, and gave me a form that says, do you want to, have a statement that's read in court, or for the judge to actually take a look at it, or you can bring it in person. And I'm like, you know me, I like to talk. So I'm going to go to court. I'm going to explain to that kid how bad things could be for his parents, because he wouldn't have been on this earth necessarily any longer if he would have went, and actually breached into the home. Because let's say I didn't put automatic locking doors on the house. That could have been very bad, because I'm not that far away from my self-defense tools. And if he would have used his tools, I would have used my tool. And I am sure that I am more proficient with my tool sitting in my living room than he is with his tool trying to come through a door and starting off with it in his pocket. So if it wasn't a tool type activity, I don't know how to say this without getting some kind of ban on YouTube. I am much larger than that teenager is, and I am not feeble. I may have aches and pains, but there's not, that's just no, I don't know how to describe it. It's, I'm not Chuck Norris. However, I'm not a daisy in the field to be plucked either. So there would have been very little that he would have been able to do to stop me from stopping him. I'm finally getting it posted for you. We're in our new home, obviously, and it is a lot safer. Any place can get robbed. Any place, anybody can be a victim of a crime. But whenever you live in an area that kind of propagates that type of thing, again, like I mentioned, if you have the ability to move, do so. So I'm going to let you make the decision on what you think we were experiencing, and how that portrays across the country. You guys can make comments down below on what you've experienced yourself. But I'm going to show you a couple of things here. The first one is roughly 7 square miles. It's a 7 square mile sample of where we lived and all the crime that was reported. You can find this online. It's called Spot Crime. And we did this whenever we were shopping for the home that we're currently in. And this shows you all the reported crime that's in an area. And it's a limited amount of time also. Certain things will drop off after a period of time. So it stays active and current. And what you're seeing here is what is currently going on in our old neighborhood. And now I will show you where we moved to. And you're going to see a lot less reported. And that's over 30 square miles. So almost, or actually 4 times what was just shown in the previous neighborhood. I'm showing you an area that is 4 times bigger than that. And you can see the amount of crime that's reported out here. Again, crime happens everywhere, but you can see why we moved. So I'm going to leave this last clip for you guys to kind of end this video on. And this is us already have moved to this home. We were living in this home, and our old house, which we still owned at that time, was for sale. And we had cameras to keep an eye on it. Even though the house was completely empty at this point, we still wanted to make sure that nothing happened in the area. And again, you'll see this clip. You'll see a car drive by the front of our house and then go around the block. And it just reiterated the whole reason that we moved out of there in the first place. It's amazing. I was hoping that it would have been better for us, but definitely not. But it is now.